Welcome to Spotlight in Education. I'm Dr. Joanne Magistro, Superintendent of Schools, and your host for the program. With all the media coverage on the war and terrorism, parents often ask how they may discuss these issues with their students or their children. I'm very fortunate today to have several of our student assistants and our guidance counselor here with us to help parents with some suggestions on how to talk with their children about these issues. I'd like to introduce Dr. Sandy Singer, who is our Frost Student Assistant Specialist at Frost Elementary School, Mrs. Pearl Charatz, who is the Student Assistant Specialist at Hammershaw Middle School, and Mr. John Lamela, who is our Guidance Counselor at East Brunswick High School. Let's start with you, Mrs. Singer, and discuss with us how elementary children are affected by these kinds of media coverage.
Yeah, although you may think that very young children don't understand about the war or terrorism, actually they can sense that something is very serious or even dangerous is going on in the world. And as a result, they may become anxious or fearful. And they may know that something is wrong, but they don't have the ability to put this in words. And so parents need to look carefully to see if there are any signs of anxiety or fearfulness in their children, such as they may be more clingy, they may need extra hugs, they may have trouble falling asleep at night. By the time children are in second grade, they have a basic understanding of what war is and what terrorism is. And they may ask questions, and that gives parents a great opportunity to find out what they know, what their children do know, what they may be worried about, and how they feel about this. And certainly parents can then answer and address these issues. But we have many children from second grade on who don't ask any questions but are affected by what's going on in the media. And so parents need to look very carefully again at their children to see signs of stress and anxiety. There may be a drop in grades. They too may have trouble falling asleep. They'll be more irritable. They might see changes in their play patterns. They might be more aggressive in nature. There might be some changes in their artwork. There might be themes of violence or hopelessness. So parents need to look carefully at their children.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And Mrs. Charatz, how about the middle-aged child?
Well, the middle-aged child is known for having, it's the year of the hormones to begin with. So, you know, typically you might see some real highs and lows in your child's behavior on a good day. So it's important to provide some stability, continue with routines. But it's come to my attention that the biggest thing with children in middle school is the fear and differentiating between war and terrorism. And talking to the children that war is far away and that terrorism, yes, although we have experienced it, there, you know, we're in a point of heightened security now, and there's been a lot of things that the government has done to make sure that we're safe. Comforting the children to let them know and that they are safe and that there are things that have been put into order. If you are planning to take a trip on this holiday season, children, if you go through a tunnel, are going to see people in uniform, men and women in uniform with guns. So it's good to identify that, let the children know ahead of time that this is what they're going to be seeing if they go into New York in a tunnel or something, and that it's for their safety and protection. Some children exhibit a higher sense of anxiety. They don't, in the same sense where they're clingy, they don't necessarily want to go to school because they're afraid what's going to happen when they get home, perhaps. So it's important to talk with your children, to communicate with them, to have a plan that when, you know, if they get home and parents aren't home, who they can call and where they can go to so that they could feel the safety, and to listen when, you know, as a community we have plans in school in the event that there is some kind of difficulty, to talk to the children about the importance of following that and respecting that. And also being honest with your children about your feelings as well, but not breeding any fear in them, because they will bring your attitudes and your behavior back to school. And so it's good to tell them how you feel. It's good to listen to how they feel, but you want to avoid speaking about it in extreme languages, and you just want to stay calm with the events. And the calm approach to it is really the most beneficial for the children.
Is there a difference between how boys and girls react?
I think boys tend to be a little more physical and a little more verbal. They might get into those physical altercations. Girls tend to have more difficulty. You know, a lot of the girls that I see, they tend to journal more, so they keep it inside or they write about it. They cry a lot more. But the boys still try to show that that part of bravado where they, nothing is affecting them. So you have to notice if that's different type of behavior than what the child was exhibiting before all of this happened.
And I'd like to look a little bit towards the older child. I have 2 teenagers myself, and I know how much time they spend in front of the TV. And of course, they understand a lot more than the younger children will. Mr. Lamela, how about the secondary school child? How does this affect them?
The same. With the advent of the internet, the children are able to communicate much more frequently with each other. I worry because my boys take on a stoic appearance. The stoicism becomes more prominent. They do act out aggressively. And what we see in our schools is not the physical actions itself, more the verbal actions. Many of the kids who would be quiet, more reserved, tend to have opinions. And that's where I think my colleagues have hit on this tremendously. All we're doing is taking everything they've said and moving it up the ladder. That they may want to stay home closer to the support system. We need to communicate. The difference I see is that they want their opinions to be respected. When we start to see them possibly withdraw or show signs of depression, many of the children that are older will withdraw and pull back in, and that's uncharacteristic of them. One of the things I always stress to my parents and to teachers is that they see the children often that time more than we do as counselors, and to really draw upon your knowledge of your child. And when it comes down to that, if you see a drastic change, if you feel there's more need for communication, ask open-ended questions. Try to draw them out. Respect their opinions. Give them only the knowledge, only the answers they need for their questions. That's where we get into maybe giving a little too much. Answer them directly. One of the things I like to say is, from a counseling standpoint, is we learn to rephrase. So what I hear you saying is, validate your child's feelings and let them know how you feel. It's okay to let them know you have feelings. So many times in the high school, if I asked all the boys how they felt about an issue such as war or violent related issue, it would be I feel mad or I feel angry. It's rare that we get other emotions hit on other than that, and to bring those out often expands the lines of communication between parents and students, and that's very important. But I think they want to be reassured. In terms of the college selection process, where we have some kids looking, I will see my juniors at this age go from I want to go to California or anywhere but New Jersey to I'd like to stay close to home. They want to be close to that support system. In terms of involving your child, if they're not very vocal or you see them starting to exhibit some of those signs of aggressiveness or change in behavior, do some simple things. I hate to say it, but go for a ride in a car. When you got them in the car, they're locked in and you can talk, you can communicate, you can turn off the radio, but you start to open up those lines of communications to build on at a later date.
You had some very good suggestions on how to deal with these issues once they're recognized, and I think that's really important. What's the resources the schools have for dealing with children that exhibit these signs of fear and anxiety? What do we put in place?
Well, at the elementary level, we have, each school has a student assistant specialist, and I think communication is paramount. I think you mentioned it before. Parents need to let us know if they are seeing some of these signs of anxiety or stress at home, and if teachers see the same type of signs, they need to call parents. But once we know and we've identified these children who are having difficulty dealing with all the media coverage, then we can make a specific plan and we can support them here in school.
It's not unusual where a child will go to the nurse a lot, and whether it be a headache, a stomach ache, I tripped, my finger hurts. And so once you get up to the middle school and above, you not only have the student assistant staff, you also have the guidance staff, and which, in Hammersholt we have the house system. So the children really know their guidance counselors, and they go to them on a very ongoing basis, as well as coming to myself for help. And like I said, the nurses are really instrumental because they see all those physiological symptoms of what's going on that we wouldn't necessarily see when the child comes down like every 2 periods. So they're very helpful also in identifying the children's needs.
At the high school, we have 2 student assistance counselors who are available to us at all times. We are also counselors ourselves. This gives an opportunity to meet with the kid in more than a one-on-one situation. It allows me to read my students, but it also allows me to have another counselor present to read the student, to help me possibly pick up on some cues I may miss or build on an opening that I may not see. The resources, our vice principals are extremely supportive in these issues. If certain things come to light, it allows us to meet with an administrator to really come up with a holistic plan to approach the child, because they are rotating from class to class, where I can have a meeting after school with each classroom teacher as a group and discuss the child as an individual and some of the changes they're going through. I like that type of proactive approach to helping children. We don't let it get to a tertiary state before we address it. As we progress through an issue or a problem as it relates, we also have a boys group and girls groups in our high school, which I sit on in a boys group with our student assistance counselors for anger management. That allows us to build, again, a stronger foundation for these children, not only in this instance to help deal with violence or anger, but throughout the course of their lives in many different scenarios and situations as may come up.
You certainly gave a lot of suggestions on what parents can do and what the school is doing. At what point does a parent seek professional help? At what point do they recognize that that's a necessary step?
Well, at the elementary level, if parents see that despite the efforts of the student assistance specialist and the teacher working together as a team, there's a marked increase in these behaviors. The child has extreme trouble sleeping. There might be eating problems. The grades have definitely gone down. They're not interested in playing. Those are signs that it's of a more serious nature, and that they should seek some professional counseling.
Sometimes parents notice more aggressive behavior at home between siblings or whatnot, and if it's something that they feel that it's gotten out of their control or out of their ability to handle, as well as usually those things follow into school. And like Dr. Singh says, we will start to see the grades will decline, the children will come late to school, they will not come to school, parents will start battling with them. That's time to try to get a professional. And we certainly, refer out. We have resource lists of professionals that we deal with all the time, so we know what their more or less specialty is and how they deal with children of certain ages and what, if they deal with more post-traumatic stress issues or anxiety issues. So, we have that available to us to offer to the parents if they need more help.
It's the same thing at the high school. Our teachers, because of the 8-period rotation, again, we see that a teacher may bring it to our attention a lot quicker because they only have the child for 45 minutes and notice a change in personality or behavior much quicker to bring it to our attention. When that happens, again, the process can begin. The child will be referred to us, and then we can make contact at home. When we do receive a phone call from a parent at our level, it's that ultimate frustration, some of the comments of, I'm on my last rope, I need help. The reciprocation of that is us calling the parent through our resources to say, here's what we see, have you seen this at home? Remember, in adolescence and some of our older teens, they want to be more stoic. They want to carry on at home as if everything is just fine. Yes, my homework's done, I'm fine. Okay, and some parents may interpret that as, okay, they're doing pretty good, but we are seeing different behaviors outside of the school. Then we would make the referral to the parent, again, utilizing the same community resources that we've networked to develop for all levels so that they can seek help outside of school, and then bring that information back to us again to begin to formulate a plan, a 3-pronged approach as to what we can do in terms of possibly outside counseling from a family standpoint and from a school standpoint to make sure the child progresses nicely and learns to deal with this issue such as this.
You all gave such very good suggestions to parents. Are there any other tips that you'd like to share at this point?
I think especially for the younger children who really don't quite understand everything they see on TV, parents should make a concerted effort to limit their TV exposure and to put away magazines that might have pictures or newspapers that might have pictures of violence that might disturb them. So definitely to limit their media exposure.
I think even for middle school children, they're used to, they watch a little more violence, unfortunately, in the media or TV and whatnot. But sometimes they have a hard time differentiating between the reality and the fiction of it. And so my suggestion would to be just to communicate and talk to your children about it and to provide the stability so that, and keep with the routines. If you continue your daily routines, if you continue providing a stable environment for the children, then they're going to get through this fine because they know that they can still count on you and everything is really at home is the same and everything at school is the same.
The same. Communication, reassurance, and support. They want to know that you're there. Yet at the high school level, they want to know you're not there. Secretly, we are always there as parents, and they want to know that. The key is communication, to ask those open-ended questions, to invite that answer, to engage in activities that are going to bond a little bit more. And again, although they may act like they don't want it, or they're going to be fine, the bravado or stoicism is there, or they turn to their friends, hey, we are still here for you when you're ready. And then again, for parents to know that there are people that they can call if they notice the changes, and there's no lines of communication, that we are available here as a resource for them and their sons and daughters to help them through any issue that may arise while they're in school.
How many students do you see talking to each other about these issues? I know most recently the board saw a presentation from Natural Helpers and how students assist each other, especially I think that's at the secondary levels. Do you see students going to peers for these kinds of things?
Yes, quite a bit. We have a very diverse school population, and within that population, thankfully, we have a lot of respect, and respect breeds concern, and it breeds questioning when things happen that we haven't seen. These students have, since 1991, we haven't seen an incident like this. So this is new to them. And I like that they can communicate across cultures, across age groups, where a sophomore will talk to a senior when we would normally not associate with a senior, to open up the, again, communication. And it is fresh on their minds. But again, more perspectives for a child means they don't get to us. We often see the student who doesn't have a strong social circle to go to, who will internalize, who will act out. When they can communicate and realize that there are other students their own age feeling the same way, they present different sides of the coin to look at. That helps tremendously. They are a tremendous school body, and there is much discussion going on. But I'm proud of the kids for the way they discuss it. And I also think our curriculum lends itself towards this. I frequently walk by an English class or a Vietnam course which is offered at the school, and even our English classes, as they tie in some of the literature into what's currently happening. And again, it just opens up more lines of communication for our students to talk, and that in and of itself is a tremendous form of counseling.
We've had some students in Hammarskjöld that have felt that they wanted to be part of something and they wanted to do something, and Mrs. Haas, one of the guidance counselors, a couple of children had come to her saying, we want to write some letters, we want to do some things. And so we have a letter campaign going for the Sea Alpha Company, which is, it actually is a friend of my daughter's is over in Iraq, and expressed that he would love to get letters, and his company. And so what we did is we put together a permission slip for parents to sign. We told the children, we put guidelines on the letters that they can use their first names and last initials only. We're including a piece of stationery that says Hammarskjöld supports the troops, and everything comes to the school, so nothing goes at home. And we have teachers that are going to screen the letters and make sure that what the children write are appropriate. And so they're getting really all excited about that, feeling like they're able to participate. And for those children that have been thinking about it silently, it gives them a venue by which to really participate and act on something. So we're hoping that that you know, continues to take full wind, and it will be a nice successful thing and bring some joy to some soldiers out there and make some children feel good about being part of it.
This weekend I just spent some time sending letters. I had heard that we had some graduates that were serving in Iraq, and sent some letters out this weekend because we're really very proud of them.
Yes.
And to know that our students are serving their country this well, our graduates. So, and to know that our students are sending emails and letters, I think is really important as well.
Connects them a little bit.
Absolutely.
I think it's also important if parents know that a family member is going to be deployed or is currently serving in Iraq, that we should know so that we can be particularly vigilant.
Absolutely. Well, I really thank you for all the suggestions that you brought today to the parents, and I want to let the parents know that we are very much on top of the strategies in the schools, and certainly out there to help any parent who would like to receive further information on assisting students through these difficult times. We have on our website on www.ebnet.org a list of various resources that parents can read and get even more information. But feel free to contact. In every school we have, in the elementary schools, we have a student assistance specialist. At the middle, junior high, and high school, we have student assistance specialists and guidance counselors. And feel free to pick up the phone and call any of these people. As you can see, they're very talented and very knowledgeable. So I thank you for coming and spending today with us, and I thank parents at home for tuning in, and thank you for joining us.